Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I am Mr. Williams with another episode of Cyber Streets of Sankofa Industries Culturally. Again, thank you for joining me. If you joined me for our last few weeks, we've been talking about the science behind magic. We've seen that in order to make an object levitate or seem to float in midair, we can do one of two things. We can actually project it with a hairdryer, basically changing the airflow around an object. And we saw that where Jason Lattimore made us understand we could do that with a ping pong ball. We also began to understand that we could levitate if we found and supported an object from its center of gravity. Today, we're going to talk about how we can make things seem to disappear. So again, Jason Lattimore is going to lead us in the science behind the magic. Please hold on as I share my screen and watch this.
Have you ever wanted to possess the power of invisibility? Well, today, Brian Cranston and I are going to show you how to turn an object invisible. Today is about refraction. Welcome to Impossible Science. Hey guys, it's Jason Lattimore, the world champion of magic. Now, today's topic is invisibility. And I came up with a great experiment for you. And to help me out, I've got TV's favorite dad, TV's favorite scientist. He's an actor, director, producer, and all-around just amazing guy. The one and only Brian Cranston. I love these things. Check this out. Hey, Brian, thank you so much for joining me on Impossible Science. Thank you so much for stopping by. Now, I have to ask, because I got into science because I love magic. Did you experience a science experiment that really you remember to this day?
Well, I shouldn't really talk too much about it, but it was involving DEA agents.
Okay, I do less of that. I do less of that in my magic and science. But right now, we're going to learn about refraction by turning something invisible. We're going to use a pen and a water bottle. What we're going to do is we're going to take this pen and we're going to put it into that bottle like this.
Wait, let me put on my safety goggles.
If I need safety goggles for this, then I've done it horribly, horribly wrong. We're going to take this pen and this bottle and we're going to go 1, 2, 3.
Wow. Turn the bottle around. Let me see that. Yeah, it's inside there. All right. Look at that.
Any questions?
Yeah, a few. Like, how the heck did you do that? Should I just do it too so that everybody sees?
Yeah, give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Deal. Okay, ready?
And it's
gone. I don't see any way possible for me to do the same thing that you did.
But you can, and you will. Okay, you're probably wondering, how does that work? Well, first, let's go over why we actually see objects. We see objects because light is bouncing off of everything and it's coming back to our eye. And if we want to prevent somebody from actually seeing something, all we have to do is prevent that light from reaching our eye. That means we can either stop it or bend it away. And in this case, we're going to bend it using refraction. Refraction is a term we use to describe the bending of light as it passes from one medium or substance to another. For example, let's say our two mediums are air and glass. As light travels in the air, it's traveling in a straight line, but when it travels from air into glass, it bends. Then the light travels through the glass and exits the other side, changing mediums once again, now from glass to air, where it bends a second time. Now, if we curve the surface of that medium, we can actually bend the direction of our light rays even more. This is how a lens works. There are two distinct shapes for lenses. One is called concave, the other one's convex. A concave lens is used to diverge light away, where the shape of a convex lens converges light to a point where the rays will actually cross. In both cases, these lenses are using refraction to purposely bend light. Check this out. We're going to take a laser, and I'm going to put a convex lens in that path. And we can see how the light will bend again, and move towards that focus point. All the light that's over here is passing through this lens and bending down to here. And because it's symmetrical, we can assume the same thing about this region, is all the light is being bent and bent up to here. That means this region right here none of this light is exiting over here. Even if I move the laser around, you can see that the path always goes around that region. Why is that important? Because if none of this light reaches our eye over here, that means this region will be invisible. Now take a closer look at this shape. Does that look familiar to you? If I pass the laser around the side of the bottle, all the light that's coming through here is exiting up here. So this region is invisible.
So that means anybody over here is actually seeing up here, and anything that's down here, all the light that's going through is being bent up here.
Right.
This region that I was talking about earlier is invisible in this bottle. And that pen is in that region right now. And so if I turn the bottle sideways,
Wow.
the trick to this is there's two pens. All right. The first one is the one you grab. I also mailed you another pen that I've weighted, put paper clips in it, so it actually will just sink.
Oh, yeah.
So just open up your bottle and drop the weighted one in.
Okay, open up the bottle.
No, that would be the...
Open up the bottle, in it goes. Down it goes.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! Yeah. See? Maybe not as slick as your trick, but it's in there.
So now, when that pen is like this, you're actually looking at the lens curve this way and this way. But when you turn it sideways, that lens is now looking like the convex lens. It's gone. And to make it appear in there, all you have to do is tilt it up like this. Now you can actually see that the light is bending. If you actually look through it, you'll notice that everything on the other side of the bottle is upside down.
Yeah.
That's the light, that's the top becoming the bottom and the bottom becoming the top as it goes through it.
That's pretty cool. So I can only see the pen if I put it down here because I'm looking through it and straight.
Right, because now the light's coming through and bending up to your face.
Right. Can they see that? It looks completely disappeared. Wow. That's very cool.
Now, the only thing you need to do for people online to have fun with this one is to use a second pen.
Right.
So if you take the pen like this, you just swat it like this, you can bring your hand down. Now this, very few people will look at this. If you want to practice at home, you end up just putting tape on it and you don't have to worry about it at all. You just slap and bring your hand down and present this.
So here's your pen, right? And
nailed it.
As long as you didn't listen to it rolling on the floor behind me.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then
Oh, I saw the little lap action going on there, pulling it off the back of the table.
I saw that. Maybe you saw that. I don't think other people would see that.
Okay, I won't call attention to it.
You're supposed to be looking at this.
But this is now your optics of invisibility.
That's cool. That's fun.
Thank you.
Watch. Did you see that? I have several pens I planted up my nasal cavity.
You can keep those pens now, by the way.
You don't want them back. That's a really good trick, Jake.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much for joining us on Impossible Science.
I appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Appreciate it.
Well, that's it for today. I hope you had fun turning things invisible by bending light through science. And if you did, let me know by clicking the like button and subscribing to the channel. And until next time, stay curious, because the right question changes everything. Oh, I hate this part.
You ever hear people talk about how they flip?
That was wonderful. Now that is one slide that I have on refraction, basically bending light. Please stay tuned as I show you a second where we bend light a little bit differently. Hang on.
What it would take to actually just bend light like a solid object? Yeah, me too. Welcome to Impossible Science. Hey guys, it's Jason Latimer, the world champion of magic. Now, what you just saw in my living room with the lasers and bending light and waking up the neighbors, that's actually just a section from my stage show where I bend light like a solid object. But I got a treat for you today. I'm going to show you how to bend light, and it won't be a trick. And you can do it with the stuff you can find in your kitchen. How cool is that? Now, we've learned about refraction before, where light will bend, and we did it with other episodes where we can bend light around an object to turn the object invisible. We also learned that light will travel in a straight line till it hits a new medium, where it will bend, and then it will travel in a straight line in that new medium, where it will travel till it hits another new medium, and it bends again. That's great, but in this mixture, it seems to be curving. So what's going on? Well, it turns out refraction has two major ingredients. The first is the angle in which light enters the new medium, and the second is optical density. So let me explain. The angle in which light enters a new medium and how it affects refraction is pretty easy to understand. Imagine a marching band representing a ray of light. All of them are marching in formation in a straight line across a field. And if they all encounter a new medium like mud at the same time straight on, well, they all slow down at the same time, so there's no change in direction. But if they encounter mud at an angle, one side of the band slows down, while the rest of the band keeps marching along, causing the formation to turn. So the angle of this new incidence determines how much quicker one side of the group will encounter the new medium versus the other. So the angle affects refraction. The second part is the optical density, or refractive index. It's how fast or slow light will travel through a new medium. Think of it as the type of mud they're marching through. Light mud versus swamp thick mud. The more dense the mud, the harder it is to march, the steeper the turn. So you can see why angle and optical density affect refraction. All right, so what's the secret ingredient? Sugar water. Seriously, just regular sugar water. But the secret is not what is it. The secret is how it's made. See, we need the bottom to be more optically dense than the top. And that comes from how we're going to make this mixture. So this is a 10-gallon fish tank, so I ended up using 4 pounds of sugar with roughly 3 gallons of water. And if you have a smaller aquarium or tank, you can use 2 pounds of sugar with 1.5 gallons of water. Now, first what you need to do is you need to pour the sugar into the container, and you want to flatten it out so that it's even across the bottom as best as you can make it. If you find any clumps, make sure you break them up, pat it down flat. Then you need to pour your water in, but you don't want to disturb the sugar in the middle of the aquarium. So you want to pour along the sides. Now I used a piece of plastic to actually pour the water in so that it would flow against the glass. That way the center stays roughly undisturbed. Now comes the hardest step. You need to wait 2 to 3 days. It takes forever, especially when you know how cool this is going to be. But what happens is the sugar is actually dissolving into the water from the bottom up, making a more dense material on the bottom than it is on the top. And we can't touch the aquarium once it starts dissolving because we don't want to accidentally mix it. And for this experiment, you're going to need a laser. Now you can use a pen laser at home, but because I'm using cameras, I wanted you guys to be able to see it, so I'm using my own laser. And of course, since we're using lasers, you're going to want some protective eyewear. Now lasers are extremely dangerous, so don't point them in your eyes, or anyone else's eye for that matter. By letting the water sit for 2 days, the sugar slowly dissolves up into the water, but it also creates a mixture where the water closer to the bottom of the aquarium has a higher optical density of sugar than the rest of the water in the tank. This change in density leads to a change in refraction. A change in refraction creates a change in the way light travels through it, making it bend. This material has a gradient in optical density, which causes a gradient in refraction, which is why we see a curve. As you can see, near the top, the laser passes straight through the aquarium, but as we move our laser closer to the bottom, we can see how the laser bends and actually curves down. Bending light turns out to be one of those subjects that always sounds impossible, and yet it's totally possible through science. And there's a lot of different ways to do it other than sugar water. And if you're curious about what those are, let me know in the comments below. I'm happy to try to put some experiments together so that we can actually see different ways to bend light. And if you enjoy making the impossible possible through science, let me know by clicking the like button and subscribing to the channel. And make sure you turn on those notifications so that you know the next time I'm going to wake up my neighbors with a laser light show. Until next time, stay curious, because the right question changes everything.
Thank you, Jason Latimer, for sharing that with us today. As you can see, there are different ways to bend light. It all happens through what's called refraction. I am Mr. Williams. I thank you for having joined us here today. Till next time, take care.